The movie begins at night in a dense jungle where a group of workers is preparing to transport a large unseen creature in a heavily reinforced metal cage. The creature inside, later revealed to be a velociraptor, violently shakes the cage. One of the workers, Joffrey, is grabbed by the raptor and dragged toward the cage opening. The workers and a park warden named Robert Muldoon desperately try to save him, but the raptor is too strong. Despite Muldoon's shouts of "shoot her," the man is ultimately pulled inside and killed. After the worker's death, we are introduced to a lawyer named Donald Gennaro. He is worried about the recent accident at Jurassic Park, the raptor attack in the opening scene. At the dig site, Gennaro speaks to a foreman and expresses the investor's concerns. He insists that John Hammond needs to bring in experts to inspect the park and sign off on its safety. This leads to the introduction of Dr. Alan Grant and Dr. Ellie Sattler. Dr. Grant is a highly respected paleontologist with a deep fascination for dinosaurs, especially velociraptors. Dr. Sattler, a skilled paleobotanist and Grant's colleague, works alongside him at a fossil excavation site. They use ground-penetrating technology to study a dinosaur skeleton when their discussion on raptor behavior is suddenly interrupted. A helicopter approaches, kicking up a dust storm and disrupting their work. Frustrated, Grant rushes to confront the unexpected visitor. Inside a nearby trailer, they meet John Hammond, who apologizes for the intrusion and reveals himself as the owner of Jurassic Park. Hammond explains that he needs their expertise to evaluate his island park, offering to fund their research for the next 3 years in return. Intrigued but cautious, they reluctantly accept his invitation. Together, they travel to Jurassic Park, where they meet another key figure, Ian Malcolm, a charismatic chaos theorist. After landing, the group rides through the island in jeeps. As they drive through the park, Dr. Alan Grant suddenly notices something in the distance. Stunned, he stands up, removes his sunglasses, and stares in complete awe. He grabs Dr. Ellie Sattler's head, turning her toward the site. She gasps in disbelief as they witness a towering brachiosaurus gracefully moving across the landscape. The massive dinosaur rears up on its hind legs to feed from the top of a tall tree. When Grant asks how Hammond managed to bring dinosaurs back to life, Hammond replies, "I will show you." At the park's visitor center, the group learns that the dinosaurs were cloned using DNA extracted from ancient mosquitoes preserved in amber. To fill in missing genetic sequences, scientists use DNA from frogs and other species. Dr. Henry Wu, one of the leading scientists in the lab, explains that to prevent reproduction, all dinosaurs were engineered to be exclusively female through direct chromosome manipulation. The group observes the hatching of a baby velociraptor and later visits the raptor enclosure, where the adult raptors are fed a buffalo. During lunch, a debate breaks out over the ethics of cloning and the risks of reviving dinosaurs. Ian Malcolm warns of the dangers of genetic engineering, while Grant and Sattler express concerns about whether humans and dinosaurs can truly coexist. Meanwhile, Hammond's grandchildren, Lex and Tim, arrive to join the group for a guided tour of the park. Hammond monitors their progress from the control room. However, as the tour progresses, several dinosaurs fail to appear, disappointing the visitors. Along the way, the group encounters a sick triceratops, which captivates Grant and Sattler. As a tropical storm begins to roll in, the tour is cut short. Park employees evacuate the mainland by boat, while the visitors return to their electric tour vehicles, except for Dr. Sattler, who stays behind with the park's veterinarian, Dr. Harding, to examine the ailing triceratops. The scene then shifts to Jurassic Park's disgruntled lead programmer, Dennis Nedry, who has been secretly bribed by Louis Dodgson, an agent working for Hammond's corporate rival, to steal frozen dinosaur embryos. To execute his plan, Nedry disables the park's security system, granting himself access to the embryo storage room. He carefully places the stolen embryos inside a hidden compartment within a Barbasol shaving cream can. As a result of the power outage, the electric tour vehicles come to an abrupt stop, leaving the visitors stranded near the Tyrannosaurus Rex paddock. With most of the park's electric fences now disabled, the massive predator seizes the opportunity to break free. The T-Rex approaches the stalled cars, testing them with its powerful snout while letting out an earth-shaking roar. Panic sets in as Donald Gennaro, the lawyer, abandons the vehicle in terror and flees to a nearby restroom for cover. However, the T-Mine Rex easily topples the flimsy structure and kills him. It then turns its attention to the second vehicle, where Lex and Tim are trapped. The dinosaur violently overturns the car and smashes the sunroof as the children scream in fear. Dr. Ian Malcolm attempts to distract the T-Rex by waving a flare, successfully drawing its attention. However, as he runs, the massive creature pursues him and ultimately injures him. Meanwhile, Dr. Alan Grant seizes the opportunity to rescue Lex and Tim. Together, they flee into the jungle as the T-Rex loses interest and moves away. Meanwhile, as Dennis Nedry makes his way to the island's docks to deliver the stolen embryos, he becomes disoriented in the raging storm and loses control of his Jeep Wrangler, crashing it into a tree. Struggling to free the vehicle, he stumbles upon a Dilophosaurus lurking nearby. At first, the dinosaur appears small and curious, showing no immediate signs of aggression. Nedry attempts to shoo it away, but as he turns his back, the Dilophosaurus suddenly flares its frills and spits venom directly at his face, blinding him. Staggering backward in pain, he desperately tries to wipe the toxin from his eyes. In the chaos, he unknowingly drops the Barbasol can containing the stolen embryos, which sinks into the muddy ground. Disoriented, Nedry scrambles back into his Jeep, only to realize too late that the Dilophosaurus has already slipped inside. Before he can react, the dinosaur lunges at him, only attacking and ultimately killing him inside the vehicle. Dr. Sattler joins Game Warden Robert Muldoon in searching for survivors. They discover Malcolm just in time, but the Tyrannosaurus soon reappears. Muldoon pushes the vehicle to its limit, swerving through the jungle road. Eventually, the T-Rex slows and gives up, allowing them to escape. The next morning, Grant and the kids come across broken dinosaur eggshells. Grant realizes that the dinosaurs are breeding, made possible by their amphibian DNA, specifically West African frogs, which can change sex in a single-sex environment, allowing reproduction to occur. Unable to decode Nedry's code to restore the security system, Hammond and Chief Engineer Ray Arnold opt to reboot the park's systems. They shut down the power grid and take refuge in an emergency bunker, while Arnold heads to a maintenance shed to finish the reboot process. When Arnold does not return, Sattler and Muldoon set out to find him, only to realize the shutdown has freed the velociraptors. Sattler ventures inside alone to reboot the system, while Muldoon stays outside to distract the raptors. As she navigates the dimly lit corridors, she successfully restores power, bringing the park systems back online. However, a velociraptor suddenly lunges at her from behind. As the dinosaur snarls and claws at the barrier, she stumbles backward in terror. While trying to escape, she inadvertently grabs something that turns out to be Ray Arnold's severed arm, horrifying her. Panicked, she scrambles through the narrow maintenance tunnels and forces her way out of the shed, barely managing to escape the pursuing raptor. Grant, Tim, and Lex arrive at the visitor center. Grant goes to find Sattler, leaving Tim and Lex behind inside. Tim and Lex venture into the industrial kitchen, hoping to find safety. The children freeze in terror as a velociraptor pushes open the door and steps inside, followed closely by a second raptor. Tim and Lex crouch behind a stainless steel counter, holding their breath. Lex accidentally bumps into a ladle, sending it clattering to the floor. Realizing they must move, the kids separate. Tim crawls into a cabinet while Lex hides behind another counter. One of the raptors spots Lex's reflection on a metal surface and lunges, but it crashes into a mirrored panel instead of Lex herself, giving her a moment to escape. Meanwhile, Tim desperately tries to stay silent as a raptor prowls near his hiding spot. Just as it prepares to pounce, Lex calls out to distract it, and Tim makes a break for it. They escape by trapping one raptor in a freezer before reuniting with Grant and Sattler. With velociraptors stalking them through the visitor center, Dr. Grant, Dr. Sattler, Tim, and Lex race toward the control room. Lex, using her computer skills, manages to restore the park's security systems, allowing them to lock the doors and call John Hammond for help. As they attempt to escape, the raptors break through the glass of the control room and chase them into the main atrium. Just when it seems the raptors have them cornered, suddenly, the Tyrannosaurus Rex bursts into the atrium, its massive jaws snapping down on one of the raptors, sending the other fleeing. The survivors take advantage of the chaos, climbing down and sprinting for the exit. Outside, Hammond and Muldoon's Jeep screeches to a stop. Grant, Sattler, and the children jump in, and the group speeds away toward the helicopter waiting on the beach. Lex and Tim rest against Grant, exhausted. Looking out the window, Grant sees a flock of pelicans soaring over the ocean, a quiet reminder that dinosaurs still live on in their modern descendants. The movie ends here. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more awesome content.